everyone, it's me, Jim, and I come to you from my old stomping grounds, Fayetteville, North Carolina, which is right outside of Fort Bragg, and where I was stationed in the Army for most of my military career. So I am here for a reunion for one of the aviation units that I was in, and I'm in town, got some time to kill before I can check into my hotel. So I thought I'd drive around and see just drive around and see what's changed. So I thought, well, maybe I'll just show you a little drive tour of Fayetteville, North Carolina. And it's changed a lot. And, but yes, a lot of times, military towns attract, some riffraff, and sometimes not always the best towns outside of a military base. And Fayetteville used to be called Vietnam. Yeah, Vietnam, because it was a dangerous place. And there's still drugs and goofiness going on outside of this town. And it was notorious for, I'll show you, down on Hay Street. This here is Bragg Boulevard, but down on Hay Street there was Korean bars, strip clubs. I don't want to run this red light here. Here we go. But the old Krispy Kreme, there's Krispy Kreme. I can't believe that place is still there. That's been there for years. And I used to do many a late night runs. I had a sweet tooth, and I would go to that Krispy Kreme and get me some of those hot glazed donuts. Oh, I could eat a whole dozen of them. But this is Bragg Boulevard, and a lot of businesses. But then late at night, you've got a lot of the typical stuff that goes on in some places: the drug dealing, prostitution. And there's a large back, I don't know if it's still there now, but it was a large trans community. So sometimes you didn't know if you were talking to a male or a female. So you had to be very, very careful. And I'm like, I think look at the hands and look at the Adam's apple. But yeah, Fayetteville, this is like my second home, because I lived here for so long. I got here when I was 20. I just turned 20 years old. Whoop, and there goes that. So, but yeah, so I'm going to stop here for a minute. I'm going to stop here for a minute because I need to take a little bathroom break here. But yeah, I got here when I was 20 years old, getting to Fort Bragg. And I got here July 4th weekend. Yeah. I remember I had 4 days to just look around, see where everything was, but I'm gonna take a pause here and I'll get back up here in a minute. All right, continuing on here on Bragg Boulevard in Fayetteville. I took courses at Fayetteville Tech Community College back in the day and got my general education through them. And that was in the 90s. And the instructor would come on post to Fort Bragg, and we would just go to an elementary school or high school just pick a classroom, and that's where we had our classes. So that was really nice. And so yeah, Fayetteville. Over here, that used to be an IHOP. Now it's a tattoo parlor. And that was coming out of the field. I would treat myself. I had a craving for the Western omelet, 3 big old pancakes, and either bacon or sausage. And I would treat myself there. After eating MREs and field rations, for a while, I would go to that IHOP. Yeah, right there. Oh man, the memories. Well, that strip club's still there. Secrets Cabaret. I can't believe that's still there. Jim, were you a wild man? No. I wasn't too crazy. Then I turned 21 here, and the guys took me out for my first beer. Because I never even drank, Here I am, 21 years old, in the 82nd Airborne Division, paratrooper, and couldn't even legally drink a beer. That used to be bottoms up right there. And then there were some bars over here, a couple bars. And strip club over here. But yeah, it was rough down here. It's completely changed. You got they really made it a downtown where you can actually enjoy. And here I will show you here what I'm talking about. And you got a veterans hospital. Oh yes, and then Methodist University. Used to be Methodist College, and then I took some upper level courses there at Methodist, back when it was Methodist College. And I took some courses online with Excelsior College, and then they were the ones who awarded me my bachelor's degree. And not only that, Excelsior accepted the college level entrance placement tests, the CLEP exams, and I would study on my own courses and just go CLEP out, go take a test at the education center, and would get college credit. So I did a lot of that. So I did a lot of self-study. Maybe I'll swing by the old apartment where I did a lot of that studying. Now here's downtown Fayetteville, and you see that, I don't know if you can see it yet, but that's the market house. And back in the day, they would auction off the slaves. Slavery. Yep, and that brick building right there straight ahead. Can you imagine? Yep, you can go buy slaves here. But yeah, that's it. The market house. There's the roundabout here. And you got people walking in here. But here it is. This is Hay Street. Welcome to historic downtown Fayetteville. I mean, but look at this. This is just amazing. You got people down here, all these shops. People can sit out here safe, have a drink, have a meal, have a coffee. Look at that. The couple holding hands, walking down. She's laughing, smiling. He's smiling. Beautiful day. Look at that. That wasn't always the case. That was not the case. This is a place you did not want to be. It's down here. But look at it now. You see that? All the little shops. The Arts Center. Wow, the Arts Center. What's over here? Look at that. But yeah, how cool. Yeah, it's actually a safe place to be now. Cleaned up. But yet, Fayetteville is what it was called. Trains. There's a busy train track here too. But yeah, all this over here, all this down here was Korean bars down here. It's a parking garage now. Speaking of trains, trains coming. That guy went across. Not me. CSX, there it is. Then there was a bus station down here. I used to take the bus on some of my Army trips. I would go somewhere for a school. And I can remember I'd come in on I think it was Greyhound bus. And I'd come in down here at Fayetteville at the bus station. Yeah. But yeah, this train, man, I see that hasn't changed. But yeah, a lot of memories. But yeah, it feels like my second home. And I even considered retiring here at one time. Yeah, I was thinking, when I finished the Army, having a house built in North Carolina and just retiring here. But that changed. And but yeah, it has a special place in my heart. And then over here is the Airborne and Special Ops Museum. Airborne and Special Ops Museum. Let's see if I can go through here. Or are they doing construction? I don't know. Let's see what we got. I want to at least show you some cool stuff. How do I get in there? How do I get back in here? Here we go. Museum, government property. I wonder if it's still open. I imagine it is. Want to go in and see it? Driving by it. Yeah, being former special operations, airborne. It's like, Jing, Jim, you did a little bit of everything when you're in the Army. I sure did. Yeah, I was 82nd Airborne Division for, geez, about 7 years. And then in the special operations, about 3 years. So, yeah, jumped out of airplanes routinely. Yeah. So the airborne special operations is definitely holds a special place. But I'm gonna quit talking here. I'm gonna go walk around a little bit. General Hugh Shelton. I remember him. I do remember him. Yeah, a lot of the generals here would run with the paratroopers in the morning. I always thought that was so awesome. You got a general, and he'd be out there running with us on our morning runs, you know, doing physical training. It was awesome. He'd be out there. Yeah. I guess all of his military qualifications and awards. Ranger, master parachutist. Did you know I was a jump master too? I was a senior parachutist, jump master. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?" Then I said, "Here I am, send me." Isaiah 6:8. There's his assignments. Yeah. Yeah. Commander of the 82nd Airborne Division, Fort Bragg. And that's when I got here in '93. So I remember him. Yep, I remember him when he was the 82nd Airborne Commander. Yeah. And this was, I believe that over here was a strip club at one time. I mean, that's how bad it was here. Now look at it. They put a special ops museum, you know? Now what I'm about to show you here is the infamous Iron Mike. It used to be on Fort Bragg itself, and they moved it. And I re-enlisted when this was still, maybe I can find a picture, I don't know, I got a picture somewhere, when I re-enlisted in the Army. And a lot of people would re-enlist by the Iron Mike. There he is. Iron Mike, man. Yeah. The rock base beneath Iron Mike has its own story. In July 1942, over 5,000 men arrived at Camp Toccoa for training as a new type of soldier, a paratrooper. Over the next few years, over 17,000 soldiers of the 501st, 506th, 511th, and the 517th Parachute Infantry Regiment trained at Camp Toccoa. These boulders were acquired with the assistance of the landowner, the U.S. Army, and the city of Fayetteville from the storied Currahee Mountain in Toccoa, Georgia. Today's Currahee is the motto of the 506th Parachute Infantry Regiment. Currahee is a Native American word that means stand alone. Paratroopers stand alone as they drop behind enemy lines. Huh? I just thought it was awesome. Being young, coming here on Fort Bragg, and I saw, because I was in, my first job was aircraft turbine engine mechanic. And I get assigned to Fort Bragg, and I had gotten airborne in my contract, so I went to airborne school after my training to be an engine mechanic on helicopters. And then, like I said, I got here July 4th weekend. But then I didn't realize at the time that there were special operations here. There were ranger units, long-range surveillance patrol units, and I saw them. And I just thought they were just awesome. They were set apart. And I think that's what motivated me to want to be like them. To then, you know, go to ranger school, become a Green Beret, you know, and just to move beyond just being an engine mechanic, you know. The Golden Knights, they're awesome. They go to a lot of events, you know, and jump out, football games. You may have seen them. And they'll jump into the stadium, you know. So Fort Bragg has a lot of history. A lot of history. A lot of history. And I was a part of it. Korea. Yep, I was in Korea. Camp Page, Korea is where I was. But yes, this is another example of what they did when they cleaned up Fayetteville and got rid of all them strip clubs and bars and Korean bars and made it the downtown that you see today, which is really, really neat. I wore that patch with the Ranger tab. And this. And this. One of my proudest moments was graduating from Ranger School. By far the hardest thing I ever did in my life. The hardest thing I ever did in my life. I was class 1195. I was originally class 1095. That's 1995. And I recycled the Florida phase, the last phase. I had to do that phase twice. Because I failed my patrols and didn't do some things that I was supposed to do. So I had to do that phase again. But I made it. I made it. And I'll never forget that bus trip back to Fort Bragg. And we met the 82nd Airborne Division commander at the time. Or was it his aide? Might have been one of his aides or something. No. Who was it? No, it was a general. It was a general. And he gave me he gave us all of the new Ranger grads a coin. And I still hold that coin to this day. Because it really took a lot to earn that coin, you know. Challenge coins is what they call them. So if you're out, you know, at a bar. You slap down your coin, and whatever one has the highest rank, the one with the lowest rank of coin had to buy the round. And when I got to Fort Bragg, we still lived in these and trained out of these old World War II barracks. They still had them. They've tore them down now. But I spent a lot of time in these barracks.
Also did extensive training using jump towers and other devices invented specifically to prepare paratroopers for combat. Lieutenant Colonel Lee recommended the men train at the Safe Parachute Company in Hightstown, New Jersey, on the 250-foot parachute drop towers that had been built for the 1939 World's Fair.
They don't make generals like that anymore. They were the real deal. This is your reserve parachute right here. pull that. See how young they were? Just like me. 20 years old. Yeah, I haven't been in this museum in years, and I forgot they have a plane up here. What's tomorrow? June 6th. I'm filming this on June 5th. Nuts. That was his response. Nuts. Gliders. Can you imagine going into combat in a glider? Check this out.
The instructors allowed him to train record as the heaviest OSS officer to finish training. In May 1944, George was designated commanding officer of Operation Halyard, a mission to rescue American airmen who had been shot down over Serbia and were trapped behind enemy lines. These airmen of the U.S. 15th Air Force were flying missions to bomb the oil fields in Ploiești, Romania. These targets were extremely important for disrupting Hitler's war machine. The airmen were hidden and protected by the Royal Yugoslav Army in houses of local villagers who provided care for the airmen. On August 2nd, 1944, Lieutenant George Musil, accompanied by his second-in-command, Michael Rajasic, and radio man Arthur Jimmy Javilian, was dropped into western Serbia near
stormed the position in a fanatical fury, raining artillery, mortar, and machine gun fire down on Hernandez's under-equipped platoon.
At that time, I was firing my weapon, and my buddy was firing, and my platoon leader said, "Withdraw." And I didn't want to withdraw. I couldn't fire no more because of the rupture cartridge. I had 6 grenades in, and I threw all 6. At that time, I was wounded. My head, artillery shrapnel. I think no doctor was going to repair me, so I might as well go out all the way. I put my bayonet right. I said, "Here I come."
Colonel Russell Bolton, Colonel Edson Rapp, Brigadier General Robert McClure, Colonel George Jones, Colonel Wendell Festig, and Lieutenant Colonel Jack T. Blackjack Shannon. Soldiers all trained in airborne operations, guerrilla warfare, and
That's what I
psychological
did
operations.
when I was in
These men
SF.
led America's Cold
I was a
War,
communication
a different
specialist.
kind of fighting force designed for a different
That's what I
kind of
did.
conflict, with a different type of enemy. The Korean War demonstrated the need for stronger.
So that was my job.
Especially in techniques of warfare.
And I had to learn Morse code too.
Psychological operations and special reconnaissance.
Yeah. I liked Morse code. M60, M16, the UH-1 Huey. I got to ride in one time, but I would love to fly one. I would love to fly one. If they were going to put together a Huey unit, I'd be the first one in line. Do you know what SERE is? SERE? Stands for Survival, Evasion, Resistance, Escape. It's a very good course. .160th SOAR is a dedicated special operations aviation unit. So what they do is they just support, you know, Rangers, Special Forces, Delta Force, that kind of thing. So they're not your conventional aviation unit. They got these big long fuel probes so that they can do in-flight refueling right here. So when I was in Special Forces, we flew a lot in these Chinooks right here. So I got a lot of time in the back of one. Got a lot of rides in one. The M249 SAW. I've carried that before too. And when you jump combat equipment, that's how you jump your weapon. That's a weapons case right there. Then you would put your rucksack right there. Remember the movie Black Hawk Down? This is the wreckage of one of the Black Hawks, Super 6-1. World Trade Center. Shanksville, PA, Flight 93.
Today's soldier is changing and evolving as rapidly as technology itself, using weapon systems and equipment unimaginable just a decade ago. Airborne and special operations soldiers are the ultimate fighting force. But before America's warfighters, our soldiers use this new age technology.
Map reading, a very important skill. One over 50,000ths map, protractor, compass, and that's the 240 machine gun right there. 7.62 round. And another important piece of equipment in the Army, coffee pot. Everywhere you went, you had a coffee pot. Pictures of family, yeah. That was one thing I noticed about the guys. They had when they had kids, they had pictures of their kids. No picture of the wife. Oh no. But their kids, oh yes. They missed their kids terribly. Yeah, Robin Sage. It's where we practice unconventional warfare. It's the final phase of our training. And they have a lot of role players and actors out there. Really, really cool. Really cool. It was an honor and a privilege. Honor and a privilege to do it all, you know, and to be a part of it. Meals ready to eat. So there you have it, a little walk through the Fayetteville, North Carolina Airborne and Special Operations Museum. Pretty cool, pretty cool. And then they've got other museums on Fort Bragg, the 82nd Airborne Museum. At least I think, I don't know, they did. And we used to have museum detail when I was a young soldier. We'd have to go down and help with, you know, cutting the grass and vacuuming, sweeping the floors and all of that. That was a pretty cool additional duty. That was so we would report for duty at the museum. I think we were tasked down there for like a week or so. That was fun. That was fun. All the neat little things you get to do when you're in the military, you know. Just all the memories come back. All the memories. So, all right. That's a little bit of that in the museum. And I'm going to continue on here. So, until the next one, take care.